Hello and welcome to the new year on VHS Era. I am joined today by Steven Rieberg, who actually has an SNL podcast. Steven, could you tell us more about the podcast?
Yeah, it's called Lorne Michaels Will Hate This SNL podcast. Um, I started it mainly as an excuse to watch Saturday Night Live because I've watched a lot. I started really getting into Saturday Night Live with the in the 90s with Adam Sandler, uh, all those people, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, people like that. But I've never watched like the old stuff before that. So I wanted an excuse to watch it all. And then I brought a friend of mine along who's never seen Saturday Night Live at all. So um, I get a fresh perspective.
Yeah, now it's funny you say you started watching in the 90s because the thing is, that's when Mike Myers got his start. I mean, technically, he got his start in the 80s because he came on the show in 1989, but more people associate him with the 90s and the
Yeah,
80s cast.
yeah. I a lot of the people that are really like started in like '89, but they got real popular in the early '90s.
Yeah. So when you were originally watching SNL, were you a fan of Mike Myers?
Oh, loved Mike Myers. Absolutely loved him. Yeah, Mike Myers was one of my favorites. Wayne's World, uh, him and Dana Carvey with Wayne's World, was great. He does this really weird sketch with where he's a hyperactive kid, and I remember a skit where they had him tied up to a jungle gym. It was like one of those things it was like a kid thing that you put a harness on him or whatever, and somebody gives him chocolate and he starts running. I don't know why that's the one of the ones I remember, but that was one of my favorites where he was just this hyperactive kid that gets chocolate.
Yeah. Now, what were your thoughts when Mike Myers first spawned off into a film career? Now, Wayne's World is like the official like start of his film career. But Austin Powers is arguably what showed he could be successful outside of SNL because he did have a non-SNL movie beforehand, So I Married an Ex-Murderer. And while that's a cult hit, it wasn't huge at the time.
No.
It's more just something that has a small fan base. So, what were your thoughts, when Austin Powers became the phenomenon it was and showed that Mike Myers can have a career outside of SNL?
Well, I own every single Austin Powers on Blu-ray, so I was quite a big fan of Austin Powers. Austin Powers was his first, or like his big first big hit that was not an SNL skit. However, it still has an SNL tie. Do you know what the SNL tie is?
Are you talking about how Dr. Evil sounds like Lorne Michaels?
Dr. Evil is Mike Myers' impression of Lorne Michaels. Yes.
Yeah, we all know. But for today, we're going to watch the VHS opening for the very first Austin Powers movie. And what's also interesting to note is that while Austin Powers became a cultural phenomenon, the first movie just did okay in theaters. It really became a bigger hit once it hit home video, which is what led the two sequels to become the huge hits they are today. So, we are going to watch the VHS and see if the previews were good enough for people to watch through them, or if while they were all renting out Austin Powers on VHS, they all probably fast forwarded to the feature.
Coming soon to a motion picture theater near you.
I hate to say it, but that that logo is just so phoned in. They just had the New Line logo coming soon to a motion picture near you, and the narrator just saying it was on the screen. I almost missed that creepy Turner Home Entertainment logo. At least it had some effort put into it.
I actually that was actually the inspiration for the name of a podcast I did with my son called Coming Soon to a Podcast Near You.
Oh, cool. What was that podcast about?
It was movie reviews.
Oh,
We would watch movies, and um it started out as a podcast I did with my kids when they were still minors, still kids. And the idea was to do movies that were before they were born.
hmm.
So every movie we did was before when my son was born in 19 or 2003. But then we just kind of just did it with all movies.
Status. Searching. Magnifying. Conclusion. Environment. Hostile.
Somewhere on the other side of the universe, billions of miles from Earth, one family, one pilot, and one stowaway are searching for the only thing that really matters in space. The way home.
Dad, where are we?
Next year, prepare for the most human adventure of all.
Give my regards to Oblivion.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger!
So I've heard of this. I know I've seen this movie once as a kid. Don't remember much about it. I have seen this movie be called like one of the prime examples of a movie with a cool trailer, but the movie itself was disappointing. However, I'm not sure if they're talking about this trailer because I don't know. The CGI, even for its time at the beginning, very beginning, I don't even remember if that shot was in the movie or if that's something made just for the trailer. But it looks like something out of a video game. Um,
Uh, yeah, I've actually never seen Lost in Space. I know it's based on an old 60s sitcom, I believe it was. I believe it was 60s. It's a remake of an old show. But yeah, I never watched the movie or the show, to be honest with you.
yeah, I've never seen the show, but that does kind of go into my second point, which is that, you know, even though I've never seen the show, I know it's kind of goofy and campy and silly. And they're kind of selling it as like this edgy, action-packed reboot. But then at the end they still say a cheesy, silly line like "Danger, Will Robinson, danger."
Yeah, that's a famous line from the TV show.
Yeah. And I kind of get why they're doing that. They're trying to, breed familiarity, but it does kind of feel like it's like a line that doesn't really fit the tone they're trying to go for. But maybe it's because it is attached to that goofy, silly show that I feel that way. What were your thoughts on the trailer?
Honestly, that movie looked really boring to me, if I'm going to be really honest with you. Uh, I didn't see anything about it that looked all that interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The trailer has not aged well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I don't remember how the movie did. I don't remember anything about the movie because I never watched it. I know of it, and that's about the extent of it. And that trailer didn't entice me to watch any more of it.
Yeah, I think it's most famous for being like the movie that dethroned Titanic after it was like number one at the box office for almost
What?
like almost half a year, but then like word of mouth like killed the movie
I
quickly.
mean, that's as disappointing as the Titanic getting sunk by an iceberg, you know? I mean, it gets dethroned by Lost in Space. That's just sad.
It's time. Imagine a substance with the power to destroy humanity. Imagine a creature insane enough to use it. Imagine a hero on the verge of creation. From flesh to steel.
You must visualize your objective.
From blood to blade.
Don't get cocky. You have a lot more to learn.
From man to spawn.
Peekaboo. I see you.
We have harvested the ultimate weapon. Makes the Ebola virus look like a skin rash.
Congratulations. I say destroy the cosmos, ask questions later.
Who are you?
This is just what they want. You're playing their game.
Then now play dirty.
You've been violated, girly man.
Use your armor!
Now stay sharp. The night is young.
Evil has a new enemy. Justice has a new weapon. And the world has a new hero. Spawn.
Again, another action trailer that is ruined by CGI that was not even good for its time. This like if you could like I've heard that this movie is very controversial for fans of the comic. Some like it, some hate it. It didn't do well at the box office, didn't get good reviews, but yeah, the bad CGI was just kind of so distracting from everything else.
See, when I was a kid, this movie was awesome. I've watched this movie. I loved this movie. At the time, the CGI looked so cool. I was like, wow, look at that cape. I recognize that this is quite a few years later and the CGI doesn't necessarily hold up. But at the time, it was so cool. Not only was it cool for the CGI, it was cool for the fact that this was a time we weren't getting dark um superheroes, you know what I mean? I mean, we got Batman, but Batman became super not dark. I mean, they became more campy after Batman and Robin and then Batman Forever, you
Yeah.
know. We weren't getting these. This was like I was 17, I believe at the time, 99. Sounds about right. And this was like dark and I believe it was rated R, wasn't it? Maybe it was
I believe
PG-13. I might have been
it was
PG-13.
PG-13.
Okay, well, we didn't get, but I mean, this was, I didn't read a lot of the comics of Spawn. I knew of Spawn. I liked Spawn. I may have learned about Spawn from this movie. Um, but I thought it was cool as a kid. I haven't watched it since I was probably in 1999, so I don't know if it holds up at all besides the CGI. I don't know if the story holds up, but I enjoyed it when I was younger. I can say that.
All right. Just out of curiosity, if you could just for a second, pretend you've never seen the movie before, and we're just looking at that trailer on its own.
Oh, I would still probably be willing to give it a chance. Um, because I mean the Violator looked interesting. The story wise, for me, as long as you have a good story, bad CGI doesn't ruin it for me.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair. And most of the time, bad CGI doesn't ruin it for me. It's just, it was kind of distracting, just like, oh, wow, those were the graphics looking back, even though I was
now,
5. So I should
now
know.
if this
Yeah.
if this movie came out today, I would probably have some issues with the way it looked and stuff. But knowing it came out in 1999, I'd be willing to forgive that today, even just looking at that trailer for a
Okay,
chance
that's
to
fair.
watch a Spawn movie.
Take me to jail, man. Would you speed up, please? I want to go back. I got all my cousins, everybody up in there. I need $200. Come on, come on. Same time, man. I don't know you. Same time. This is wrong. This is right. It can't get no righter.
You can take the hustler off the street.
That's my favorite suit you're wearing.
I look good, don't I?
But you can't take him home.
Who's this?
Hey, Fazan.
To meet the in-laws.
How about some nice Dom Perignon 85?
How about some Coke? 45.
You want to play rough? I kill for fun.
He don't know nothing about you here for me. He don't know nothing about the hoes and the guns and the drugs. Damn. Hey, man, me and guy just down here checking out some fly rides and macking some hoes and chilling.
It's like a G-Dog with a fly tip, cutting in the crib.
What does that mean?
I like to propose a toast. You're James first, his last, his everything.
Is that Barry White?
Money talks.
My love, my everything.
Well, it's the first comedy trailer on the VHS of a comedy. But I will say, watching that trailer, it kind of made me realize how important Ice Cube and Jackie Chan are when paired with Chris Tucker. 'Cause I felt there was too much Chris Tucker that it kind of got a little annoying after a while. I feel like Charlie Sheen is supposed to be the Chris Tucker figure. And not sorry, not the Chris Tucker. I feel like Charlie Sheen is supposed to be like the straight man of the duo. A very strange sentence to say.
Yeah.
But it's like we barely get to see Charlie Sheen say anything in that trailer. It is pretty much 98% Chris Tucker all the time, and it's only like 2 minutes long, and it feels like 2 hours.
Yeah, Chris Tucker is an acquired taste, I will say. Uh, I kept at the beginning of it, there was so much Chris Tucker. I'm like, where the hell's Jackie Chan? Like this should be. I thought this was one of the three. What the hell is that movie they were in
Rush
called?
Hour.
Rush Hour. I thought this was one of the three Rush Hour movies. And when Jackie Chan didn't show up and Charlie Sheen showed up, I was like, oh geez, I don't. I remembered some of these lines, but I was like, oh, that's Money Talks, and completely forgot that movie existed. And then, like you just said, it's a little too much Chris Tucker. Like, I mean, I didn't mind Rush Hour, but yeah, Chris Tucker is a lot. I do not know how that man had a career in that short amount of time that he had.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
again, like I don't know, in movies, again, like Friday and Rush Hour, he has a straight man to bounce off of. But, when you're just seeing him in isolation, it gets a little much. Actually, I covered The Fifth Element, well, the VHS for The Fifth Element on this podcast. And
oh yeah, he was in
I'm,
that too.
yes, and I'm not gonna lie, this might be a take here. I thought he was too much in that movie.
I I think I've seen something where someone said The Fifth Element would be a perfect movie if they just cut that character out completely.
Yeah. I will say though, in his defense, he was good in he's been good in his later movies whenever he feels like making a movie, which isn't much, because he's kind of toned down
Oh,
the fast talking persona, like in Silver Linings Playbook, Air, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. Like he was much calmer in those movies and much more tolerable to sit through.
huh. I haven't watched anything. In fact, I don't remember the last movie I've seen Chris Tucker in, so I didn't know he was still making movies.
Not often. Like just like once in a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, that just proves that sometimes less is more, especially when it comes to Chris Tucker.
Yeah, yeah.
Charlie Tuttle had the big office, the hot car, and the beautiful fiancée. But he also had a friend.
Is it too soon to kiss the bride? Yeah, we should wait.
Named Richard.
It's your bachelor party.
I can't do this.
Come on, Charlie. If it weren't for me, all you'd ever do is work. One drink. Okay.
Now, while he's sleeping one off,
Buddy?
the biggest trial of his life
This is my career.
Help me, Ricky!
is going on without him.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes, sir. I'm ready to proceed.
You said you were me? They think that I'm the lawyer now. And that means I have to keep being the lawyer? Fine, I can handle that.
New Line Cinema presents
This is fraud.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Vague.
No.
an experienced lawyer
Okay, just breathe. Calm down.
and an out-of-work actor
Whenever I step into a courtroom, I think of something a great law professor of mine once said. But that can wait for tomorrow.
giving justice
You're on one side, I'm on another. Can't we get around this law thing?
You're touching me.
a run for its money.
I don't pose, I don't preen, I don't put perjured testimony on the stand. I don't make a mockery of the American legal system.
You got your style, I got mine.
Michael Richards, Jeff Daniels,
Objection!
Get him out of here! No, let me back in!
in the second most outrageous trial of the century.
The defense rests!
Trial and error.
I have a big office, I have a big car, and a big, I'm big.
Speaking of comedians whose her shticks actually might be better in smaller doses, we get Kramer the movie. That looks exactly like a feature-length version of an episode of Seinfeld. I'm surprised Kramer pretends to be a lawyer is not an actual episode of Seinfeld because it
I've
sounds
never-
like one.
I've never watched all of Seinfeld, so I'd maybe there is. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it should be, but there isn't. But yeah, that's just what is there to say? That looks like them trying to make Michael Richards a movie star by basically just making him Kramer, but not Kramer.
The one thing I will say about that trailer is like a time capsule of how trailers were made in the 80s and 90s. Like he's got the good job and the beautiful wife, but he's got a friend. Like they always used to do those weird trailers where they would like explain everything with the narrator and then show a bunch of crazy stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I do remember those types of trailers existing. Uh, and yeah, again, it also just has a very generic premise as well as a generic trailer.
Yeah. I mean, it looks all right-ish. I've never seen it before, I'm sure I've seen the trailer a long time ago, but I know I've never seen that movie. Michael Richards, I was never into Seinfeld when I was younger. In fact, I've tried to watch it as an adult and I just couldn't get into it. I feel like it's something that I probably might have enjoyed more if I watched it when it came out, but trying to watch it now, I had a hard time getting into it. Um, my biggest memory of Michael Richards comes from um oh, what is that movie? The movie Problem Child.
Oh,
If you've
yes.
ever seen the movie Problem
Yes,
Child,
I
he plays
have.
the serial killer or psycho that Junior like looks up to. And I loved him in that. It's like, hey, look, a giraffe. Hey, look, a fist. It's just, I loved that movie as a kid.
I thought you were gonna say when he turned out to be a real psycho, like 10 years
Well,
after this movie came out.
just a little racy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that incident is gonna haunt him for the rest of his
Perhaps,
life.
perhaps.
But yeah, let's just go to the next trailer.
LA is like nowhere. Everybody who lives here is lost.
Do you know what today is? It's Armageddon Day, the day the world's supposed to end.
Peter. Life is so complicated. It's been a gnarly day. Nowhere.
That is a trailer that says nothing and
And
about
it
the movie.
and it looks like it went nowhere. Um, but yeah, I never heard of that movie. I've never seen a trailer for that movie. I never want to see a trailer for that movie again. I not interested.
Yeah, I usually like those types of coming of age films, but yeah, that didn't really draw me in at all
No.
because it doesn't say anything.
The most interesting thing about that trailer is at the end they showed the bands that were in the soundtrack, and well, I did own a lot of those CDs as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I noticed one of the previous trailers, I think it was Money Talks, has Puff Daddy on the soundtrack, and this one had Marilyn
Ooh,
Manson.
what?
I'm sure between those two and an entire movie starring Michael Richards, the trailer editors for these
Just
are
scratch this, scratch that.
probably not putting it on their resume.
Of all the dangers you will face, freeze well. Of all the thrills you will experience, no adventure is bigger than Batman and Robin.
I'm asking you, friend, partner.
Will you help me? Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, Uma Thurman, Alicia Silverstone.
Partners?
Partners. Partners.
Batman and Robin. Own it on video and DVD.
Funny you mentioned Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
and then it shows up. So again, not looking at the actual finished product itself, it looks like the most condensed, tolerable way you can make Batman and Robin look. That's pretty much it. Lots of action. Looks like it doesn't get in, and just like one cheesy pun. They only show like one cheesy pun, thank God. It's just like this is as tolerable as you can probably make Batman and Robin look.
Uh, honestly, had I never seen Batman and Robin, I still would watch that movie. They didn't show much, but it still had Batman. I still got Mr. Freeze. I still got Poison Ivy, not to mention Alicia Silverstone back in the 90s. Come on now. Uh, and don't get me wrong, even without knowing, like, I still enjoy Batman and Robin. It's a train wreck, but it's an entertaining train wreck. It's like how I like to watch horror movies that are bad because the worse they are, the more entertaining they can be.
All right,
It's
that's a
just a
fair point.
it's a fun bad movie. I don't know why anybody thought don't get me wrong, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know why they thought Arnold Schwarzenegger would be the best person to play a very intelligent doctor who who has a freeze. I mean, Mr. Freeze is one of the more, I guess he's not one. I mean, Riddler's pretty intelligent. They're all pretty intelligent, but he's supposed to be a doctor, you know? He's supposed to be someone who can uh and they have musclehead Arnold Schwarzenegger, who I love, but it made no sense. He was put in there because he was a big ass name.
I'm a little scared. Are they gonna love me, Mama? Yes, they're gonna love you.
Warner Brothers is proud to present the story of one family's hopes.
She is special. She's got it. I can feel it.
For a dream.
Maybe I just feel like I could do anything.
That would come true. Jennifer Lopez, Edward James Olmos, Selena.
I'll be honest though, just speaking of this movie, look, what happened to Selena is tragic, and I feel, but as much as people are going to tar and feather me for this, I think that movie is mid. It's average. It's okay. The like last 10 minutes are great. Everything beforehand is eh. And that trailer is similarly not much to talk about.
I can say that trailer doesn't do anything for me, but I'm also not really big in the what do they call those the biopics?
Biopics, yeah.
I don't know if they called them biopics back then, but that's essentially what that sound. I mean, this is based. Selena is based on a real person, right?
Yeah, Selena Quintanilla.
Okay, I don't know what happened to her. That's sad. That
Google
something
it.
Oh, good. But I mean, I'm not exactly a big J-Lo fan, but she, yeah, it's not my type of movie, so really that trailer did nothing for me. Um, and I didn't know who that was anyways, so I've heard of the movie and I think I've seen the trailer before, but
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a big fan of music biopics either. They're very much the same formula over and over again, just with a new celebrity and sometimes they'll input in like historical events that the celebrity is known for. And after a while, after you see more than a few of them, it just gets kind of boring after a while. So.
the best one I've ever seen is Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
Yeah,
Super serious, super good.
yeah, I will also go to bat for for a serious music biopic, not a parody of one, La Bamba. I thought actually that was really good.
Never seen it.
But yeah, other than that, music biopics aren't really my thing either.
Linda and I are in love.
You're waiting for her to leave him for you?
At last, a movie for everyone who's ever been dumped.
I'm not spying. I just want to be with her. This is worse than I'd imagined.
That girl of yours is a carnival ride.
They teamed up to win back their lovers. They might end up losing their hearts to each other.
Whoa!
Meg Ryan, Matthew Broderick.
You can do better than that.
Addicted to Love.
Honestly, I've mentioned this before in my Die Hard episode when we talked about While You Were Sleeping. Not a huge fan of romantic comedies. Not a big fan of Matthew Broderick. Believe it or not, Meg Ryan is okay with me. That trailer though kind of reminds me why I'm not a big fan of one over the other. Meg Ryan at least has performances that, how do I say this? She emotes and has facial expressions. She feels like an actual human being. Matthew Broderick, a lot of the times, especially back in the 90s, does not emote and does not have many facial expressions. And just from that brief trailer, it just did not feel like they had any chemistry because of that. So yeah, I can't say I'll ever be addicted to that movie.
I actually I remember seeing that um I remember seeing that trailer, not necessarily trailer, but I remember seeing that box when I would go to movie or like to movie rental places all the time. I remember seeing that all the time. I've never seen the movie. I don't have an issue with Matthew Broderick. I liked him in The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey. Um, Ferris Bueller, I think, is overhyped, but I don't dislike Ferris Bueller, but it just seems to be more popular than I feel like it's given. I think it's an okay movie.
I honestly I like him more in character parts like actually Ferris Bueller. I don't know. I think it's just more like when he's just playing the normal average Joe. That's sort of my issue with him. That's kind of when it feels like he kind of, what's the word? He kind of just goes through the motions. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what it felt like there from that trailer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't every once in a while I like a good romantic comedy. Some I do, some I don't. I don't hate all of them. That one just seems like a cheesy premise, like, oh no, we're gonna try to win our exes back by pretending to be in love and then finding out we're actually in love. It's a very 90s concept, very 80s concept. Um, yeah, but I like some romantic comedies. I like My Best Friend's Wedding with Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I don't
liked
just like I'm not the biggest fan of romantic comedies, but there's some I like actually When Harry Met Sally, which was covered on last week's episode not last week, but the last episode, which had Meg Ryan in it. I actually enjoyed that one.
I think I've watched that as a kid, but I don't remember much of it. Um, but I mean, there's stuff here and there that I like. The Wedding Singer, I love The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, that one isn't bad.
Yeah, so there's good ones, there's bad ones. This one, uh, I don't mind Meg Ryan and I don't mind Matthew Broderick. So if I got forced to watch it, I would consider watching it with someone that I'm dating. Since I'm not dating, no, I probably won't be watching that anytime soon.
Yeah, I will just say it's one funny thing is that they I know that Meg Ryan actually no there wasn't really anything funny. Oh wait, now I remember what was funny about that movie. Well, I haven't seen the whole movie. I did see a clip of it, and I did see in that clip that Meg Ryan is like scaring off Matthew Broderick by saying that his ex's new boyfriend will go down to town on her like Godzilla. What happened the next
Okay.
year?
Oh, jeez.
Matthew Broderick was in a Godzilla movie.
Oh, I remember the Godzilla movie. I went to the drive-in to see that movie.
Yep. So I guess Meg Ryan willed it into existence.
I guess so.
But then again, and in Inspector Gadget, they have a Godzilla reference, and that came out after the Godzilla movie. So
I wanted to like those movies so much because I loved Inspector Gadget, the cartoon.
yeah, but I don't know. I guess somehow Matthew Broderick or Matthew Broderick's agent was obsessed with Godzilla and had some sort of clause. Had to do
Gotta talk
something
about
Godzilla in the late 90s.
I'm Ted Danson. Please give it your local video store and help turn one of America's 12 million hungry kids into a kid.
Okay, so I, of course, uh, obviously always support the fight to end world hunger. Have no idea how that trailer just showing a random kid is random suburban kid in America eating.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's super hungry.
Yeah, it's like, how is that supposed to end world hunger?
I don't know.
How is that supposed to inspire anyone to want to end world hunger? Suburban kid, so a suburban kid just eating, just being shown eating. It's that's not what people mean when they say we need to end world hunger. Does the people who came up with that concept even know what that is about?
Yeah, like at least show us like a homeless kid, or like make it obvious that this kid is hungry and we just fed him, you know? That just looked like, I thought it was going to be a commercial for Life cereal or something.
Yeah.
I was very confused.
Yes, it was like, way to be, wait, that feels like something, out of like BoJack Horseman almost.
It's a good show.
Yeah, but like it feels like a sort of like a parody of how out of like out of touch Hollywood producers trying to do look like they're doing right by the world by doing nothing at all.
Yeah. Rich Hollywood producer. Hey, kids all look the same, right? Yeah, this works.
The soundtrack album from Austin Powers International Man of Mystery is Groovy Baby, featuring You Showed Me by the Lightning Seeds. The debut from supergroup Ming T. Plus swinging tracks from Edwyn Collins, Space, The Cardigans, Susanna Hoffs, Quincy Jones, and much, much more.
Yeah, baby!
Yet another soundtrack ad. Not much to say about this one. Again, never much to say about any of these. I guess I'll just say I like that it kind of went with a swinging 60s style aesthetic, that was similar to what the movie was trying to achieve. And I like that they highlighted acts that aren't like super well known, super famous. More just
I recognize two of them.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones and the Cardigans. Those are the only two I really have heard of. Although I think Ming T I remember from the movie for some reason. But
yeah, other than just spotlighting more obscure artists, there's nothing to really say about that one. Again, it's another soundtrack ad.
Soundtracks were all the rage back in the 90s, though.
Yeah.
I remember I used to have the soundtrack to Batman Forever, and Batman Forever may not have been the best movie, but it had a damn good soundtrack.
Yeah. But that was the last trailer. So now it has come time to say whether we should just skip through the previews or stay through the feature. And stay through the previews or skip to the feature. I'm just gonna have to say I really only enjoyed maybe a couple of those ads. Skip to the feature. Most of these trailers ranged from unremarkable to bad.
I think I'm going to skip to the feature as well. The only one I can think of that I would have been probably excited about was either, Batman and Robin, but that was just telling me that it was on DVD and VHS, or a Spawn. I mean, other than that, I could give or take all the other ones.
Yeah. Well, Steven, do you have anything to plug?
You can find me on the Lorne Michaels will hate this SNL podcast. Right now we're kind of on a hiatus. My co-host, she got a new job and she's trying to get situated. So we haven't recorded in about a month now, a little over a month. Same with my wrestling podcast. I also have a wrestling podcast. It's called the Boomer and Blaze Show. You can find me on Dragon Blazer Productions on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You can also find me at Dragon Blazer Pro on I believe it's the X now instead of the Twitters.
All right. Well, next time we're going back to a franchise VHS era has gone to before. That's right. Join me as we go to another late 90s comedy staple. And by that I mean, I'm going down to South Park. Gonna have myself a time.
Bigger, longer, and uncut?
Nope, we already did that.
Oh.
Instead, we are going to be doing one of the compilation VHSs. We'll see friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
Nice.
See you then, everyone.